We're going to have to come up with answers that set politics aside.
Hey, this is Clement G from Tennessee. I'm here representing Nashville Peacemakers, Mothers Over Murder, Straight Talk, Bulletproof. They don't hear us.
They don't hear us.
Man, Black father, a son, an uncle, a nephew, a cousin. They don't hear us.
They don't listen. They don't hear us. They not listening.
They don't hear us.
And we're gonna bring you some stuff that's gonna make you feel better. They don't hear us.
I keep telling them, but they ain't listening, bro.
Hello, my name is Amana Sera. I'm from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and they don't hear us. Yo pas nous. That's it.
I come to proudly share with you about a Rock Square 357 production entitled They Don't Hear Us.
They don't hear us.
Get together, stop killing.
Hey y'all, my name is Courtney Teasley. I'm a criminal defense attorney here in Nashville. I'm also the CEO of MFN.
And I am Sheryl Huff, and I am with the Middle Tennessee National Action Network here in Nashville, Tennessee.
So I want to thank y'all for coming here today. I'm very excited to be on this episode of They Don't Hear Us, especially talking about my social enterprise that I actually am just now launching. It is a Black woman, millennial-owned social enterprise that creates proactive products and services to disrupt and dismantle the criminal justice system of oppression. And in other words, we create premium quality options for the DAM community. And when I say DAM, I mean the disproportionately affected, marginalized minority, otherwise known as the hood by those of us who grew up there. So I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be able to break this here in my hometown. I'm a Nashville native, and what we're here to talk about.
So we're here to talk about today about knowing our rights, what our rights are when it comes to the legal system, and to know what we need to know when it comes to hiring an attorney or things that we need to know that we don't know. And once we get educated by Ms. Teasley, and then we'll be okay. So.
Well, with MFN, the thing is we amplify the voices of the least of us. And so in that spirit, I actually do Know Your Rights seminars a little different, but because we're actively fighting a case in real time, I'm gonna use this case and we'll go through it, but throughout it, I'll teach you about rights that you need to know and things you need to look out for, and we'll just kind of have a good chat surrounding that. Is that cool?
That sounds good to me.
All right, awesome. So I wanna talk about the first initiative that MFN has ever launched, and it's called #Disrupt Manchester. And so I got brought onto this case by Sheryl, who believes in me a whole lot and always calling on me. But just a little backstory, I had been for the last 6 months, haven't been taking any new criminal cases because I've been building that social enterprise, right?
Right.
And so I was not inclined to take any just criminal case. You know, I've been passing them along. I've been helping people proactively prepare. Like I'll help do their strategic case preparation. We'll build out your defense. We'll do all that strategy, talk about different things. You know, I educate you on everything, but I was done going to court. And then Sheryl gave me a call about this case with a family of 7 who unfortunately were coming from Georgia, just driving to Illinois for a funeral. Had got up real early and packed their kids in the car. I want to less than 3.5-month-old at that time, a 2- and 3-year-old, and a 5- and 7-year-old. And they're on the way down the street going to a funeral, and a state trooper gets behind them. The state trooper gets behind them, and he says he pulled them over because of their window tints. And he also pulled them over because of what they call the slowpoke law, where maybe they were trying to pass in a lane or something. We know what that means, right? We live in Nashville,
Exactly.
3720A. You remember the driving while black report?
That's right.
Yes. So
Yes.
this didn't happen in Nashville, but it's context for you to understand that
What's happening in Tennessee.
Exactly. So those type of things, when you hear somebody say, I'm pulling you up for window tint, driving while, or slow poke law or something of that nature, that just means that's code word for driving while black. You're black, and now I'm gonna pull you over to see what else I can find out, right? So this is important when I'm talking about, we wanna talk about knowing your rights, right? We wanna really talk about knowing your rights. You live in Tennessee, window tints are notorious for the reason that they pull over people of color. Now, in this case, this was Manchester. He pulled him over for that, but he didn't even give him a ticket because it never was about the window tints, right? We understand that. It never was about the window tints. What it was about was getting into your car and seeing what I can find. Let me violate your rights real quick and see what I can find and get a nice little charge, and then I might get a little award or two, you know, get some money, you know. So have you ever, you know, anybody ever had that happen to them?
Oh, yes, a lot of people. We get phone calls every day. I have a young man just was on the interstate on his way back to Baltimore coming through Tennessee. He was pulled over. He was on the interstate for 2.5 hours because the officer wanted to search his car, and he kept telling him no. They brought the dogs sniffed everything, nothing, and they still came after him. So we're not even safe on Tennessee highways.
Exactly. And so when they were being pulled over, number one, yes, I had to find the thing. Number one, check those window tints, y'all. This is not a game. When I mean it, like, it's not worth the flex, right? We all grew up. I was young. I have tints on my car. I always say I would not be in a fishbowl, right? But now I'm grown. When I go get tints, I go pay for them the legal way.
Right.
Back in the day, you used to get somebody to put them on your car for you just so you could have the tints, right? But I can't be in the limo tints. We can't have that. Because they're going to use it every time, and they're justified in it, right? They're going to be justified by the law in pulling you over for a window tint. So I just say it's not worth the risk. Take that car. It's cheaper to go and take your car up the street to one of these window tint places and let them actually put the right window tints on and put that stamp on there that says it's legal, versus having to pay a lawyer thousands of dollars to represent you because somebody pulled you over and found, you know, less than 2 grams of marijuana in your car or something, right? So,
which was legal. Which was legal in Georgia and legal in Illinois, but Tennessee is where he got stopped at.
Yeah, so in Georgia, and that's a big thing that we were just talking about, in Georgia, medical marijuana is legal, right? And in Illinois, recreational marijuana is legal. And in Tennessee, no marijuana is legal, right? Legal hemp, there's hemp. But the biggest part about that is the TBI says they don't know the difference.
Right.
They can't tell the difference between it. The dogs can't tell the difference between legal hemp and marijuana. It looks the same. It smells the same. So here is next tidbit. We do not admit anything is marijuana, ever. Ever.
Never.
You get pulled over, and they go, oh, what you been doing? You've been doing. What you mean, smoking marijuana? I smoke legal hemp. Always, right? Like, I mean, so it's just no brainer there. We do not. First of all, we just don't talk to the police about, we're not giving them any extra information, but remember that portion. It's important for us to know the laws and know these types of things because they take advantage of us when we don't. Right? They'll tell us ignorance of the law is no excuse for breaking the law, but they never taught us the law.
But they don't know their own law.
Oh,
so once we get educated on it, then we'll get them.
But I say when we were in school, we didn't learn criminal justice, literacy. We weren't taught civics. We weren't taught any of those things that actually will benefit us.
Right.
And like, think about it when you were young, right? And so when I was speaking about this with Reggie, I was telling him I have a book coming out. I wrote a book finally. After all these Know Your Rights seminars that I've done, I finally wrote a book called Disrupt The Criminal Justice System of Oppression. It's Disrupt the CJ Sue, the easy way to learn your rights.
Right.
And so I wrote that book because, and I put in it a syllabus, right? So that way anybody who buys the book, now you become a teacher.
Right.
Right? You
Yes.
have that, and you literally can take my book and go teach it to someone else. And if you don't have the time, my book has nice illustrations in it for you to hand it over here to anybody, and now they can read it. A child, my child who is 11 years old, can easily get that book, read it, and understand what it says. And they'll be able to learn their rights.
Right.
I prefer it if you're teaching, right? But
Right.
if you don't have the time and if you can't, hand this book to them and save a life. So that'll be coming out in June.
Okay.
But these are the important things that we weren't taught growing up, right? So being from the
Exactly.
damn community, I realized that early on. I realized that even as a lawyer, right, and I'm doing all these things, and it's just certain things we weren't taught growing
Right,
up.
right.
And that really kind of motivated me to always, when I go learn information, I'm coming back to tell my people.
That's right.
Right. I'm coming back to teach. I think some people want justice in their own cities. They don't want the bad apples here either. They don't want that. We have to do our job as citizens now. We have a right to this information. We have a right to hold our elected officials accountable. We have a right to court watch. We have a right to these things. We just don't utilize them often. So what I'm doing is trying to ignite the activism inside of every person at home. Do your part. Do your part. You have the ability to court watch. You have the ability to hold people accountable. You have the ability to request personnel records, FOIA requests. You have that ability as a taxpaying citizen, so utilize that. Utilize your ability and join us as we fight against this very corrupt system and shine a light. And those in power, help us.
Yes.
Help us get the bad apples out. We're not coming after you. This is not about you. Move yourself out of the way
Come on now.
and see what this is really about. The systemic portion of this. See what this is about and how you can help, how you can do your part. This is what we have to do in order to end mass incarceration. It's all our responsibility. So I thank y'all for coming here today. I ask y'all to join us and stay up on this conversation because we're not done here today. As you saw, we're not done. So I thank you for being here.
What would you say to people that see this on the news and just say, DCS was just trying to look out for these kids? How would you respond to those viewers?
I think that saying that DCS is just trying to look out for these kids based off of a charge of simple possession of marijuana, when we sit here in a county that is known for having meth issues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Meth, heroin, fentanyl. You got it. You're absolutely right, young lady.
There's your proof right there. And so I'd ask DCS to look at that.
Where are the kids now?
I can't speak on that.
Is the hearing over today?
Which one?
The juvenile hearing.
The juvenile hearing for now.
It's over for today.
For today.
Is there another criminal hearing that's still going to take place today?
So the criminal case has been continued to April 18th. The lawyers are working on that case and working with the state. I think the state, again, I believe that they want to be reasonable. I think they want to be fair. They're the district attorney here. I know he knows his job is to seek justice. I don't think that they are trying to enforce things of people's constitutional violations. I think as lawyers, they want to do the right thing as well. And so we're going to give them that opportunity. We want everybody to be able to do the right thing. Nobody's trying to start a crusade here. We're saying that there's something wrong going on here, and we need help to uncover it like any other case that's been broke. We know things happen.
Absolutely.
That's it. There are people here who are clearly asking for it as well. So we're helping and saying we're in Nashville, yes, but we're concerned about everybody. We're concerned about anybody being oppressed. I can't sit there and just say, hey, I don't care about Manchester. No, I do care about Manchester, because that means that these people who happen to come through, there are maybe hundreds more, thousands more in Manchester who have had to deal with things going on here. So I think that this is not just about Manchester. It's about all small counties. It's about all big counties. It's about everywhere in the world where we have the opportunity to step up and step in prior to there being another hashtag. Disrupting before there's another hashtag. That is important.
disrupting and creating proactive options, right? Not just when somebody goes to jail and not giving them a place to live at the jail or only giving services after they've been incarcerated or heard guilty. Can you do something before? The advantages we have when we all play to our strengths and work together. I recognize mine, and I am a criminal defense organizer, which is why I initially came on as a criminal defense lawyer, but became the quarterback lawyer by organizing the lawyers around in their strengths and commitment to community. We reviewed and recognized immediately constitutional violations, and I hired because I went and learned it. I'm like, oh, what you keeping from us?
Right.
Run it on back, telling the people, right? Because these are things that that's proactively stopping mass incarceration. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Knowing your rights or learning your rights and learning how to properly assert them is proactively. That's the education we getting on the before we ever have that stop with them, right? So for instance, with your children, it's so big with kids because children, their prefrontal cortex, that part of the brain that is responsible for making rational decisions and knowing better. It's not developed until you get 25. So I bring that back to Disrupt Manchester, right? The biggest thing used against him when he got pulled over was, oh, you a criminal. I will take your kids. You know, you a criminal. This man is 40 years old. He has a felony from when he was 18. He was 18. His brain was under so we get preyed on so quickly. When our brains are underdeveloped, they go hard, right? You don't teach us criminal justice literacy. You don't teach us financial literacy. You don't teach us how to get and make sustainable money. And you don't teach us how to build a business and have profits and things. You don't teach us these types of things, right? But I'm gonna hold you accountable, right? I'm gonna get you and I'm gonna make sure. So it's up to us, right? It is up to us to proactively educate ourselves. And so I think about things of that nature when I think about my client, right? And I think about how something that he couldn't avoid where he grew up, right? We grew up in a damn community from the hood. You didn't have a choice. You didn't have a choice in what school you went to, right? You didn't have a choice in any of that. It's all held against you, though.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Your prefrontal cortex, oh, it wasn't underdeveloped. Oh, I can't worry about that. You a criminal. Right? So that's what MFN is about. And MFN is about amplifying the voices of the least of us. I want to read to y'all a quote by Michelle Alexander of the New Jim Crow. She said, the new caste system labels black and brown men as criminals early, often in their teens, making them damaged goods from the perspective of traditional civil rights advocates.
That's right.
Well, what does that mean, Sheryl? What am I meaning when I say that? I'm meaning, right, they were picking and choosing back in the day, the civil rights organizations, which people would fare better, which people would be more accepted, which people fit the narrative, right?
Right.
That wouldn't be discriminated. Go, okay, you know, we got to get the best of the best. Come here, Rosa Parks. We love Rosa Parks. I think I saw a bench out there that said Rosetta Parks on it. And I was like, oh, okay. But there were people who came before Rosa Parks. But they didn't fit the good narrative. They didn't look good. You had a young girl who I think maybe ended up getting pregnant maybe early or something, and then you had another person whose dad may have been an alcoholic, and it's like, no, not y'all, not y'all, not y'all, not y'all. You know, it happens to y'all too, but no, you can't be the voice of this. We can't come to the rescue of you because they'll talk about us if we do, right? Yeah, so like, what do y'all think about that? Like, I really want to know what y'all think about that. Do y'all have any kind of thought process on, and I kind of want to know from you, Sheryl, because shoot, National Action Network, you really are kind of breaking through what traditional civil rights advocates used to do. You're kind of saying, listen, I think that we're supposed to embrace the oppressed. I think that we're supposed to go to bat for them and fight for them. Why?
We have to, because first of all, there's a lot of resources out here. that they don't bring them into our neighborhoods. We don't know anything about them. So when I hear about them, I'm like, Courtney, I'm running into the neighborhood. Look, did you know you can qualify for this? This is what we have for you. We have to now take care of our own people because they take care of their own, and we have to, because if not, we have a juvenile system with kids that's 10, 11, 12, their brains completely is not formed. So you telling me I'm charging you with A, B, and C, they have no clue what you're talking about.
Questions about anything? So, can you just explain what's happening right now upstairs?
So these juvenile proceedings are closed to the public, so we can't share with you the details. But in those hearings, many things are discussed. Safety, well-being to the children, custody decisions. So again, not specific to this case, but those are the types of things that are discussed in there.
Is there any type of DCS policy that relates to possession of marijuana when drug-related? Are you able to expand on kind of when DCS steps in, when they don't, when it comes to marijuana?
So DCS collects evidence just like law enforcement. They then present that to the courts, and the judge makes that decision, and DCS follows out. But again, all of our policies are online for you to review, and I would encourage you to do so. But when you talk about these juvenile cases, some of the details that have been released, we believe were unlawfully released because those are protected. Those types of details protect the children, so we can't go into details as it pertains to some of that. I know is what you're asking about.
Well, could I ask you a question about that? Is it not the right of parents to share whatever their concerns are, any details about the case?
When the custody is removed and they're in DCS custody, it is then they're protected at that point.
But so you're saying that they can't speak about their children? They're still their children.
But you have to understand that the court has created an order to remove those children because of whatever the extenuating circumstances are. Speaking as a whole, not speaking specific to this case.
Are the kids in DCS custody, is it dependent and neglect case? Or how is the case classified?
That I would have to get back to you on.
Okay.
How long after the arrest were the kids taken into DCS custody?
So those are all things that again are protected that I can't go through those type of procedural steps. And again, that's pursuant to state law. That's not me, that's pursuant to state law.
Do you have a sense of how often kids are taken from parents who are from out of state?
I think that depends on case by case basis. Again, we collect that evidence, it's presented to a court, and then that's decided out. If you were looking for certain numbers, I would have to I don't have that off the tip of my tongue. I'd have to find that for you.
Does how the criminal case, how that becomes adjudicated, play into the DCS's decision, or are those sort of two completely separate tracks?
So none of these decisions are made in a vacuum. So when you say DCS's decision, there's a collaborative decision. All of this goes through the courts.
Right. Okay.
THP told us Friday, quote, "We did not arrest the mother in this particular case with the intent of leaving the children with her, so that's where we left it. The mother had custody of the children. So why did DCS show up?"
And again, that's case specific. I can't discuss that with you. And I know there was a component too where it talked about race, and I did want to say that the case managers that are working this case, they come from diverse backgrounds. Nearly 35% of DCS is African American. 50% of our deputy commissioners are African American. So as far as training and inclusivity, that's something that's important to the department, and I just wanted to make sure that that was understood as well.
Do you think that it really matters when you're dealing with a system, what color you are? Because you following a system, right? You following procedures, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, what does color have to do with anything? It's about procedures.
I couldn't agree with you more.
That's all I
couldn't agree with you more, sir.
Yeah, I mean, aren't Tennessee taxpayers paying for this? For out-of-state children that could just go on back to their state and this be...
So
I'm just asking.
Sure, I appreciate you asking. And again, this goes to our transparency. So where this goes is there's a collaboration with the home state of that child. So they collaboratively decide, is it best for the child to go home? Is there a kinship placement there? Where is that child going to get the best care? And sometimes that is the case. Yes, sometimes that is. That's exactly what I was saying.
And so if we don't start now and stop them from doing this to our young kids, because we got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And the first thing they say is, do I have to go back to DCS? Am I in the system? How do they know about that? But that is the beginning of disrupting a family. And we have to stop it. Children are prey. They're preying on our children. They're preying on our children.
They are. And then you said something so important there, right? All of this is a big circle.
Yes.
So we don't get to just start and say, okay, well, it's just this that we're worried about, right? When they get to this age. Oh, no. It's systemic for real.
That's right.
Right? Because think about this case. You know how traumatic it is to have children ripped from their parents? Traumatic to watch your father being undressed in public, basically.
Yes.
Being broken down as a nothing. Being treated like nothing. As soon as he got him out that darn car, he put him in the back seat of the police car. The man had done nothing at that point in time.
Nothing.
Nothing that he knew, nothing. Get in the back of the police car. What you think them kids are thinking? I'm like, what is going on? What they doing to my dad? Right? And so put them in the back of the police car. Now these children over here watching while they tear everything out of their car for hours. Brought dogs to the scene. What do you think the babies are thinking while they're watching this? Like, that is PTSD. That is trauma. That is something that now, think about why they do it. Let me show you, right? I'm about to entrench in this child's brain that whenever you see a cop, you better acquiesce.
That's right.
You better consent. You better not assert your rights, right? That is why I wrote the book.
Yep.
Because literally, we have to combat that early in life. When they're young. We have to allow our children to speak. We have to allow our children to assert themselves with us. I know it's hard, right? With the black community, I know, because I grew up getting my head knocked off all the time. I swear to God, I used to get killed all the time. For real. Like, I had to become a lawyer, child. My grandma was out of control. Well, Lord, it wasn't, you know, they think, what was DCS back then? Seriously. My grandma, she didn't tolerate nothing crazy. So I think about things like this and I say, this is important for us to realize how much of a full circle this is. If they can get us early, right, and break any kind of ability within us to assert ourselves, if they can get us early and teach us, hey, you better go the easy route. You better choose the easy route because I can make your life really hard, right? Then they get to make us felons. They get to make us felons, criminals early, right? Why are these children in elementary school going to jail?
Right.
Why these children being questioned and there's no law requiring a officer be present? Why are, I said officer, a lawyer be present. Why are these things allowed?